Welcome to the Steven Cimino Says Boom Show, issue number 70, 78.
Boom.
Hey everyone, welcome to Pop XP. And before the show starts, make sure to click that subscribe button and click the bell to get notifications when we go live and we upload awesome new content. And don't forget, if you can, make sure to share our stream on all your social media outlets. We appreciate it, and thanks for helping us grow the Pop XP channel.
Hey, welcome everybody to the Steven Cimino Says Boom Show, issue 70, 78. You guys didn't like when I did that, but do you want to know why I did it? Because we're finally back after a long delay. And before we go into it and tell what we're up to and who's coming on today, now, what's going on, brother?
Oh, well, you know, it's the new season of the Steven Cimino Says Boom Show. And as you know, everyone, take a look below, click that subscribe button, smash that bell. This way you get notifications when we go live. We upload some awesome new content. Check out the live streams. And gentlemen, I'm very excited. I can't wait to dive into tonight's guest. Huge fan of their work. So without further ado, gentlemen, what do we got going on?
Okay, first off, I got to say, welcome back, guys. It's been a while. Steve, I missed you. Niall, you know I love you guys. I moved into a new place, new atmosphere, and now we're going to be doing it. So, Steve, we've been gone for a few months here. What's been going on in the Pawn Stars shop, and what's been going on in your life at Torpedo Comics?
Well, it's been pretty busy. The little road tour that they were on for like almost a year came to an end. So we did be doing some filming down at the actual shop here in town, which has been nice. They just finished up the season. So I think there's another 2 episodes that I will be appearing in that will be popping up pretty soon. And then, they're on hiatus right now. When it comes to, my general other work, my torpedo work itself, just grinding on out there, doing sales and, remaining pretty busy.
Yeah, and I noticed the spandex been getting tighter and tighter and harder. What's going on with that late night? Can you talk about that or no?
Well, that's what happens when you hit 255 pounds shredded. So, if you're in that sort of shape,
the man is a beast.
You gotta, showcase the goods.
Yeah. Well, what about me, Steve? I know I'm ripped to shreds right now, $170, and that's what you weighed when you were born. But come on, you gotta be. I even making the Ultimate Warrior here a little proud. Come on, I've been posting my pictures too. You know that. But anyways,
but I would make one suggestion.
Yes, sir.
I try to cover up a little bit. We don't need to see all of you.
Well, give me some spandex and maybe I will, Steve.
I'll send you a couple of links. We'll get you all spandexed up.
Oh God, I don't want to know. And now, how you doing, brother? How's the Pop XP going?
We're doing good. The Pop XP's rocking and rolling. We took a little break as well, just producing a few shows, keeping Thursday Night Live going. But we also have a new series that's going to be starting next week, Pop XP's Pop Off, which is going to be a new series where we're going to pop off on some topics. We're going to get critical on the good, the negative, positive things. We're going to have guests on for commercial breaks to promote things. And we've got some documentaries coming up that we put together on some animation creators. And we've got some video essays coming up, as well as a lot of product review, which is piled up over here that a lot of publishers have been sending me. And some of the videos are a little late, but most of them will be on time. So we got a lot of stuff cranking, and we got the new season of Steven Cimino Says Boom Show. And we're kicking it off with an absolute amazing guest that we've been talking about forever to have on.
Absolutely. We got a whole bunch of new guests. I've been getting a bunch of people that have been waiting to get on, and this one I had to go looking for. This one we got from my boy Roy the Boy Thomas, because he contacted her, and this is a very special guest. And I will admit, though, I got to say this before we go into it, Roy's demand has been incredible. Overseas, I've never seen anything like it. His demand for signings, overseas conventions have been overwhelming, and I can't even catch up to it. I have to turn down so many shows, but I'm already getting shows in 2025 set. The boy is red hot, and just so you guys know, because I'm going to come out now in public and talk about it, Jerry Conway is now officially part of the Roy Boys, and I'm going to start bringing them out together. So Roy and Jerry Conway will be a guest, an upcoming guest on this show within the next few episodes. We got that, and we'll talk about it. The co-creator of The Punisher and so many other things. But yes, I'm finally going to get Roy Thomas and Jerry Conway back together. So that's a great thing. So anyways, without further ado, let's go to our guest. Our guest is a heavyweight writer and producer of movies, TV series, and everything. I mean, she's a who's who. Like, let's first go off. She's a writer and producer of The Sopranos. I mean, what's that? One of the biggest TV series of all time? Or is it of all time? I don't know. It's one of those. She also did Northern Exposure. I remember that too. A Year in the Life, Almost Gone. And she wrote the Showtime TV movie Critical Choices. And she's the co-creator of the CBS's Blue Bloods. I believe it's in its 14th and final season, if I'm correct. Now, those are accolades that are unmatched. But we're going to go a little bit back. This is the reason why she's with us, because in 1968, she was a Gal Friday for Stan Lee and working there. And then after that, in 71, she became, or a little bit after that, she became the first female writer of Rolling Stone magazine. I mean, incredible accolades. This lady is a legend. And before we bring her out, I just got to show this right now. This is what we're going to be talking about today. And I even have the New York Flyer right here. This came out in September 16th of 1971. And Niall, you got to show the big head on this one right here. This is interesting. And why am I showing you this? This is what we're going to talk about a lot. Right here is the page, but if you want to look really close right here, it is written by, oh my God, without further ado, a Miss Robin Green.
Oh my God, I'm famous.
Robin, Gal Friday.
Yeah.
Oh,
brings back, yeah.
Now, do you have a copy of this?
Oh yeah, I do. It's in shreds, but I have it. It's all like yellowed, like me, It's like tattered and torn. It has some wear, But that was the first article that I wrote for Rolling Stone, and they put it on the cover. Yeah.
So this is actually okay. Since you're the first female to write,
no, I have to clarify.
Okay.
There were other writers who wrote little things, women, very few, but I was the first contributing editor, meaning that I was on the masthead with the men. There were all like Hunter and this one and that one, a lot of people named Tim, but I was the only female because it was 90% male readership, so I was that 10%. But I was the only girl contributing editor, which was a position, cover stories and that kind of stuff. But my first one was to go back to Marvel.
Oh,
and
God.
The job,
And that's where we're going to have to start. First, let's talk about your upbringing, Robin. Like, were you ever into comics or anything prior? Like,
it's so interesting that you asked me that. No.
I didn't think so.
No. And my brother was, of course, and they were around. I knew what they were, but I was, very artistic and high-minded or something. I don't know. They weren't for me. And they weren't when I got the job either. It was a world that I didn't know about. I entered this world of Marvel Comics on Madison Avenue, of all places. Yeah.
What I find funny about this is that you have such huge accolades in like Hollywood and all that stuff, but you're still so remembered about that small time at Marvel. When I talk about you, they're like, Oh yeah, she was the gal behind you. She, like they know you from. I mean, you'll never. Did you ever think that it would that little bit of time there would always stick with you for the rest of your life?
I never thought about much. You know, I sort of tripped along. Do you know what I mean? I never really thought about the future or had a plan or anything. So no, I didn't know what effect it would have. And you know, I left after 9 months. I was there for 9 months, but when you're young, that's a long time. You know, I took the, subway there every morning from my apartment in the village, you know.
Okay, but you got to go to your history here. How did you? Okay, let's stay your beginnings and like your adapted with writing, and then how did you get to Marvel Comics? I want to hear the whole thing. This is so interesting.
Well, on the subway, I was trying to tell you. No, I graduated from college. I was the first generation to go to college. Yeah. And so I went to Brown University's Pembroke then. It was 1963 when I started. And so I graduated from there, and I was a literature major, and I learned to write there. I had a mentor, and I took writing there, and I became a writer. But to make a living, I thought I would go to New York. I tried Boston first, but I didn't like it. And so I moved to New York. Oh, my boyfriend, he left me. But so I went to New York, and I went to an employment agency, in my little outfit, my little capizios and, probably a girdle or something horrible. And I would I went to 3 interviews. I wanted something in publishing. That was my fantasy. Okay. I said to them and the woman at the agency said, well, there's thousands of girls like you. You're not going to have, forget it. And so she sent me to 2 advertising agencies and Marvel Comics. I didn't like one. I hated one place. They hated me. And then I didn't want to be in advertising. I walked into Marvel. And it was human. Do you know what I mean? Their people were sweet. I could feel it was a good vibe. It was relaxed. Do you know what I mean? It just felt good. It felt like something was being created there.
Wow.
People were drawing boards. And then, I went there to replace, what was her name? Sorry.
Flo?
No, you're good.
Flo Steinberg.
Oh, no.
Yeah, she was ready to do some adulting or something. She wanted to move on. She'd been there for 10 years or something. And she, was right across the hall from Stan, how I remembered. There was like a hallway, my door, his door. And there he was all the time, jumping on chairs and whatever. But, acting out stuff. But I went in there and Flo liked me well enough to introduce me to Stan. I guess that's what it was.
Was Flo the first person you saw when you went into the door?
No, I think Linda Fight might have been at the front desk.
Linda.
I think she ended up with Herb Trimpe somehow.
Yeah.
They definitely, got together. So,
I knew he was the hot ticket, right? Herbie was the hot ticket,
right? He was so handsome. He's the one that drew that cover on the inside too. I liked it. I thought, he was
right here. He is now.
Yeah, there he is with those wonderful black. I think he's dead. Is he dead?
Yeah. He
Yes,
passed away.
Yeah, I think he died. Well, a lot of people are dead. This is wine. Is that okay if I drink?
Yes.
Is that
Yeah, it's okay.
And then we got this one too. Don't forget this one. Want to go from your article too? There's Stan with hair.
Flo with her smile. She couldn't smile with her eyes open. And there's Stan, and that's what he looked like. Well, he wore a wig,
Well, yeah, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about
Why
the
not? Talk about it. Well, sorry. Okay. But that's okay, Well, why not?
So what was your daily duties? Talk about like a daily duty. You go into work. What happened?
You know what? I can hardly remember.
Oh, come on, Robin.
Oh, I mean, you get letters from fans and you read them and you'd send them, little packets of things about joining the marching society,
the Merry March.
So you do that, that took up a lot of time. And I remember when my desk was, so then I guess Stan met me and he accepted me. I mean, first of all, let's be honest, okay? I was a fox. You know, this was like I
You
was.
still are, Robin. You
Oh,
still are.
well, but you know, thanks. But I, you know, as a matter of fact, Stu, there was a guy named Stu in the office. What was his Stu? Somebody.
Soul?
They called me Legs, which gives you an idea of like my strength. And I wore short skirts. It was the
Soul?
you know,
Was it Soul? Soul Brodsky? Was it Soul?
No, it was Stu.
Oh, Stu.
Stu, somebody. Roy knows who it is and I have the drawing to this day, but I've mislaid it, so I don't know where it is.
Okay.
But it's somewhere. It might be in New York City. I'm out in here on the island now, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. So when was the first time you met Roy the boy? When did you see that little Roy?
He was in the room with me. You know, he and some other guy at a drawing board were there. That's what I remember. Anyway, so I was at the desk. It was, you know, good sized room, not huge, but I was at the desk. I had all of the covers in front of me on a bulletin board.
Oh.
Roy was over there. And somebody else was over there. John Romita was somewhere else. He was out front.
Oh.
And Marie,
Marie Severin.
She was the only girl, like me. She was the only woman there not in a creative capacity. Great broad, you know, nice, steady, good. Everyone. See, the thing is that everyone was really sweet. You know, it was. It was not hip. It was nerdy to me. I wanted to be with Eric Clapton out in, you know, I wanted that life, you know, and I eventually left for it. But my time at Marvel was charmed, you know, it was really lovely to be there. You know, I don't remember what I did all day. I guess I answered Stan's phone. I must have done that, right? And
did you?
I responded to, mostly it had to do, I think Flo told me, with reading fan letters and getting back to them.
Robin, did you think that you ever answered the phone and it was Gene Simmons? Because he called every single day. You know, if you remember, he called every single day.
No. And I told Roy, you know, that, you know, I don't have a great deal of I will share everything I have, but I don't have that much for some reason. I remember details. I remember Stan with his writers acting out stuff in his office. I could see that. That was wonderful and animated. I remember his wife and daughter swanning into the office with their attitudes, and I didn't like that very much. They disrespected him, I felt. I felt that they thought, because Marvel comics then were not what they became. They didn't. Now comics run the world. They own Hollywood. You know, Stan eventually, I hope he benefited. I don't think he did that much financially, and I'm sorry about that. I think he got in a mess out there a little bit. But comic books, it's all about Stan out there.
Yeah, you know? He actually did benefit, but he made a lot of bad choices and got a lot of bad people, and then it eventually hurt him and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I read.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Keep touch with him. You know, I was, you know, the story of, you know, when I left, but you don't want to talk about that probably. Yeah,
no, if you wanted to, I do know about all that.
Well, you know, my boyfriend used to come through New York. He was from Providence, where I'm from. And he took me, we would go to see like Jimi Hendrix at the Fillmore East. And Janis Joplin and that kind of stuff. That's what I was into. So we went to Montreal for the weekend. I'd never been to a foreign country. Now, you know, it's so amazing. People were speaking French and stuff. And we went to the airport at the end of the weekend. He was at the University of Chicago, and he had to go back to school. And we went to the airport, and they wouldn't take. He didn't want to use his credit card because it was his father's credit card, and he didn't want his father to know or something that I was, you know, he was gallivanting around with someone, and they wouldn't take my check. And so David said, "Well, why don't you come to Chicago?" So I went to Chicago with him. And on Monday morning, when I was due to work, I called Stan and I said, look, Stan, I'm not coming in. Oh, are you all right? Well, I'm not coming in at all ever again, you understand? And no 2 weeks notice. No, it was a hippie times, you know, and he said, I said, well, I got hung. He said, what happened? I said, I got hung up. I said, I got hung up. And he said, what does that even, it was the first time I heard him with a real edge on his voice. He said, well, what does that mean? Hung up. You know, I said, well, look, I'm not coming back. I'm in Chicago. That's it. And he accepted it and hung up. And that was it. That's how I quit my job. And I will tell you all of this because years later, 2 or 3 years later, when I went back to do the article about Marvel Comics for Rolling Stone, he was as gracious and sweet and happy for me as a man could be. You understand that he didn't hold a grudge.
No.
He wasn't mad at me. And he understood there was probably a downside to me, you know, that I was just a little wild and probably not going to stay there.
And just so you know, Robin, Roy told me that Stan was also a good businessman. He knew you're coming at him with Rolling Stone magazine, and Stan saying, that would be good to get on. I'm not going to hold any grudges or anything like that.
Oh, yeah.
And then he did the interview. So it was also.
Oh, you mean so he was mad?
No. Well, I think he was. I think he was a little upset.
The tea is being spilled.
He was.
I said the tea is being spilled.
No.
Well, you know, he wasn't happy when I talked to him that time, but
right. But also him knowing that, yes, Stan always, you know, he was always a forward guy. He never held things in the past. He just keep going. But the thing is also you're calling for Rolling Stone is a great.
No, it was a good thing for them, and it was a love letter. The piece was very sweet and uncharacteristic of me, by the way, because I was an ironist. You know, I was ironic and I thought I was very sharp and mean and stuff, but not.
Niall, you got the picture? You got the picture of the mark?
What picture?
This is one of the from your.
Oh, yeah. Well, my boyfriend that I went away with took that picture.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he came with me. He took all the photographs that you see. Oh, there's everybody. Oh.
Yeah, Herb.
That's the guy. That's Stu, but maybe not. Maybe it was that guy. I don't remember.
That was Bill Everett. He's there. You got John Romita.
Yeah. But there's Marie Severin. Yeah.
Yeah. And who's the little kid? Do you remember who the little kid is?
No, I don't. Nope.
Yeah, but that was just the one whole time. Okay, Steve.
It looks like a little Roy over there.
Yeah.
Roy's got some answers.
Oh, there's Roy. Yeah, you can see Roy in there.
And his hair is still the same. His hair is still the same.
He looks great in the pictures that I saw. Yeah.
Oh, he does look good. Go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So, Robin, what we like to do here is dig into the weeds a little bit, and you may not be aware of what's been happening in the industry these last couple of years, but there is a movement going around that has this weird or false assumption that Stan didn't do any writing, didn't do anything for Marvel. So with you saying that you were able to actually see him, you know, with some, you know, artists, you know, in his office, and he was acting out, you know, what he wanted. If you could explain a little bit more of what you actually saw, you know, because this is vital information, and a lot of people are coming up with their own ideas about what happened. But
ugly, isn't it? Yeah. Well, that's. Can I say bullshit on this?
Yeah.
Yes.
You can say
yes. Say it.
It's not what I experienced. I was there for, like I said, 9 months. We had, you know, there were several titles, the Silver Surfer and all the rest of it. I would see writers go into Stan's office, and the two of them, Stan would act out what he wanted. He would jump on chairs, exclamation point, stay stuff, you know, raise a sword in the air. He told them the vibe that he wanted. That was his shop, and everyone there, Stan was the boss. There was just, that's it, period. What does Roy say?
Same thing.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know where this is coming from or even why. It seems so petty. And
go ahead, Steve. Tell her why I corrected.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's a very weird thing that's going on, and a lot of it is driven by, you know, people who say that, you know, Jack, Kirby didn't get enough credit. So basically, what they say is that Jack did everything and Stan didn't do anything. Now, for me personally, those two guys, 50-50, okay? But we do have this generation, especially in the last 10 years online, quite vicious and actually attacking people online. And I think John has been attacked online. Roy has been attacked online. But it's absolutely ridiculous. So what we do here is whenever we find someone or talk to someone who was there that has first-hand information and their eyes were there, we like to get some, validation of exactly what was going on.
No, that's complete. It's complete bullshit.
Yeah.
And Jack Kirby, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I met him, but I believe he worked from home. Is that true?
Yeah, and you were in '68 and that stuff. Yeah, because he wasn't. Yeah, because
I can't really remember. I remember him. I remember his, presence, his physical self. So I know I met him, but I can't remember if he was in the bullpen or not. But I know that he did a lot of the work, but so did everybody else. Everyone else was drawing and Herb Trimpe and inking and all the rest of it.
You see, Robin, today, as Steve was pointing out, comics have become such a serious business. It wasn't it's not the fun-loving stuff that you remember, or it was 20 years ago. It's become such a cult.
It's like 50 years ago.
Oh no, but I'm just saying, it's such a cult now that you would be very surprised on how vicious some of these people are. And it makes me laugh because they think they have the right to say these things when they weren't even there. So we like to interview people and get their side.
I was there.
Yeah.
So there. And I really think that the whole, it's a different subject, but there's a climate of viciousness in this country that I'm appalled by. And, I lose sleep over it. I hate it. And this sounds just like the same shit.
It is. It's just, you see it in Hollywood, you see it in the music industry, the comic industry.
Well, it's just bullshit because I know that Stan created this stuff. I don't know. I never saw him work with Kirby, I don't think. I just don't. I know I met Kirby, but I worked for Stan. Stan was my boss,
Mm-hmm.
But comics were not respected. They were like in the publishing industry, they were, child's play, I guess, but there were a lot of fans then, very fervent fans, but nothing like what happens today.
No, right. And plus, I believe social media is part of it. There's like this, people get crazy and they latch on to things and they become these mobs and stuff. And then there are people that are afraid to speak out. I post and ghost. I don't even care anymore. Listen, I'm so successful and all that stuff. Why would I care? No better source than someone who's there. Okay. Now,
the wine is bringing a nice. Do people see my face with all this?
It looks wonderful, Robin.
Yeah.
Robin looks wonderful.
The wine is bringing this red.
The natural blush.
You look beautiful, Robin.
I never watched myself drink, and I was like,
Go ahead, Niall.
Yeah. So you worked at Marvel for like 9 months. It sounds like you were hungry. You had a vision when you were young, where you wanted to go, what you wanted to achieve.
Yeah.
And then you go over to Rolling Stone. But I'd like to know now your journey into Hollywood, because again, I mean, Sopranos, Blue Bloods. I mean, these amazing
I don't
shows.
recommend my life to anyone because I just sort of went along, and these wonderful successes were punctuated by long stretches waitressing. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When you lived in Berkeley, you made jewelry, you had an anvil, I was a waitress in a little uniform, and I got sick of that. And I went across the river and asked to have a job at Rolling Stone, any job, secretary, is what I expected, but they gave me a chance to write. And that was the Marvel Comics thing. Jan Wenner assigned me that. He saw it in my resume and he was interested because people say stuff about Jan too, that's derogatory. He was such a good editor. And I think he knew that Marvel was important enough to give it a cover. They didn't publish it during the winter. They held it for the summer, because the advertisers just wanted music. But I think Jan really saw the future in this, the wonderful creation that was being done. The Hulk, it was like this fantastic stuff, and he knew it would have an audience. This magazine, this article that I did. But I'm off topic because I did Rolling Stone for 4 years. I was on the masthead, and then I kind of petered out, and I went to the University of Iowa Writers Workshop, which is a workshop for writers if you want to write, and then I met my husband, and we went out to LA with no money, nothing. Nobody asked us to come. We worked as temporary secretaries, and we just did whatever for many years. And then a friend of mine had a TV show, and remember somebody I'd met at Iowa, not a friend, had a TV show, remembered my short stories, which were good. I think Rolling Stone didn't even factor into it, but he gave me a chance to write for his television show, which was Year in the Life with Richard Kiley, Sarah Jessica Parker at 16, Adam Arkin. It's a gem. And of course, NBC killed it after a year. But it was the beginning, really, of quality TV. It was literary. It was Updikean. Do you know what I mean? And so I made it. I just like with Marvel Comics, that article for Rolling Stone, when asked to deliver a television show, I delivered. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. And I know from personal experience, it's a lot of luck is involved in getting a chance, but you have to have the goods. If you don't have the goods, then forget it. Do you know what I mean? So I wrote that first script. It was episode 1 after the miniseries of Year in the Life. And I worked ever since. And my second year, I met David Chase. I worked for him on a show called Almost Grown. And, we had a really good time. Somebody canceled that show too. And then I did this and that, and I did many things. And then, I had a successful TV career, bought a house. Do you know what I mean? I never thought I could do that. Yeah. And a new car. No, it was a used car, but still. A nice use, it was a BMW. It was nice, but no. And then I bought a new car and a house. And then David called. We were working with David in between things, and he was developing Sopranos. And so we read a lot of the initial scripts for it and really loved it. And when it went to series, when he finally got the call, he called us up and asked us if we wanted to come to New York and write on it. And that's what we did for the next 7 years. And then I had a falling out with David, and he fired me. But that was the last season of it. So I don't know what led him to that. I've talked to him since, but not about that. But it ended sort of badly. But it was a great, wonderful thing, Sopranos. It was a wonderful thing. We quit a really lucrative job to go on it, Mm-hmm. Because we always did what we wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I always did what I wanted to do. Yeah. What can I say? I'm still kind of doing it. I don't know.
Then how did Blue Bloods come along?
What's that?
When did Blue Bloods come along?
Well, we did this and that, and then we got a call from a producer, and he had this idea, and we'd heard ideas after Sopranos, didn't like any of them. We wrote a pilot that Stephen Frears directed, but it wasn't any good. But anyway, so Leonard Goldberg called us, and he was this like old-fashioned kind of dude that did like Love Boat or something with Aaron Spelling. It was like very nerdy for me. It was like my agent begged us to listen to the pitch because of politics in his office. He said, "No, please listen to Leonard Goldberg's pitch." And so we were in the living room of our apartment in New York, both on the phone, heard the pitch and bought it and just said, "Yep, we're in." And I just knew that we could write this thing. We both did. We looked at each other like, we can do this. And this will happen. It had everything you need for a TV show. It was square. It wasn't like Sopranos. It wasn't groundbreaking. It's in its 14th season. What can I say? Yeah. But again, we were only there for a year. And then I was fired because I couldn't get along with Tom Selleck. So
Magnum PI? You couldn't get along with Magnum PI?
Because you know what happened? We brought him back to TV with that script. And is this interesting? I don't know. It's such
Go,
a
go.
He came, he'd been out of TV for many years. He read the script. He also saw, I can do, this is good for me.
Mm-hmm.
We were at CAA, Leonard, me, and Mitch and me. Tom walks in. He's like 100 feet tall. And that was it. I knew it wasn't my show anymore. And I couldn't live with it. I couldn't stand it, because he was going to run things. He was going to run things. It was obvious at that moment that I wasn't going to get to run things, and I wanted to run things. That's how it had been in television for me, is that the writer was the boss. And this was finally going to be, I was going to be the boss, but it wasn't going to happen. And so we came to loggerheads, and I guess CBS decided to keep him. Of course, But so that was fine because we owned a piece of the show, which was a very rare deal. You can't get that anymore, I don't think, unless you're, Shonda Rhimes or something, maybe. But so we had a good deal. We made out. We continued to, we get royalties and residuals, and it's our retirement. So, it worked out, and the show is good. It has legs. It's 14 years is a long time for a television show.
Absolutely.
So that's the story. I don't know if it's really what you were wanting.
well, I've seen articles now that I don't know if they're true or not, but Tom Selleck, since it got the notification of cancellation, that he was worried about paying his bills. I don't know if you saw those articles.
I don't know. I think the cancellation must have been his decision. I don't know. The articles went around when it got announced, and then his quote of him being like, "Oh, he's." I don't really know. Bridget Moynihan lives out here, and I've seen some of the people over the years, but I don't know what goes on there. But I don't think Tom has any real concerns about it.
He is the mustache.
Valley, how expensive can that be?
Yeah. Go ahead, Steve.
It's always fascinating with with many of our guests here that that come through the show, and basically, people say, "Oh, I had a friend, and we were in New York and we were at a party, and then next minute I'm on a show." For someone like me, hearing that coming from a small little town in England, which had a population of 8,
that's small.
It's just amazing and astounding, but I guess, you just have to be in the right place at the right time. But, again,
the key is don't stay home.
Well, I also think the key is, and it's something that, you brushed over quite quickly, but when you said, you could get something done, your first TV script, how did you know how to write the script? Did you look at someone else's script? Because if someone gave me and said, "Steve, by the way, do you want to come in and write a script?" I'd have no idea how to lay it out. What am I doing?
Well, you've seen television shows.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so I'll tell you. You know what you really want to know?
Yeah.
They gave me, these guys gave me the story. That's how they did it, Josh and John. Josh Brand and John Falsey, they created St. Elsewhere, blah, blah, blah. I still know Josh. John has died a while ago, I think. But they gave me the story that I had to write. In other words, I had an outline, which very often you create an outline and give it to an outside writer. So you know what you have, the scenes, and you know the story that you have to tell. And so I had a journalism assignment in Spain, and I went to Spain and I wrote the script. I wrote what I thought was a TV script, and I had the format. Do you understand? I had 30 beats. I had the scenes: A story, B story, C story. It's a formula. And so I wrote the script, and I handed it in, and I get the call, and Josh and John say, "It's no good. It stinks." And John said, "Look, I've read your short stories. I know you can do this. We want something in the manner of John Updike. Okay. And because I had a literary background, I knew what that meant. You know what I mean? They told me what short stories to buy, you know, and I like, maybe they even gave me the book. I can't remember. No, I think I went to Book Soup on Sunset, but I bought the John, and I knew that. And then they wanted subtext. They didn't want a TV script, which I had written. Do you see? And so they wanted subtext, and they wanted a humor of that Updikean sort, right? So I delivered. I had a job at a magazine. I went in all weekend and I wrote like I'd never written before, with all the concentration. Smoke was coming out of my ears. Do you know what I mean? It was a maker. Yeah, I'm sure we've all had those moments where, you know, you got to step up. But I tried as hard as I could. You had to FedEx things. You couldn't, or maybe I even paid a delivery person. You know, there was no, you know, I guess I could have faxed it, but I FedExed it over. I got the call immediately because when good news is good, you hear right away.
Yeah.
And they hired me, you know, and it was just like a miracle. And I remember John said, "How much do you make now? You know, well, you'll be making 10 times as much." But I didn't care. You know, that was nice. You know, I was glad, but I was more glad that I succeeded. And I also hated where I was working because I was working for Harold Hayes, which is another eminence like Stan Lee. You know, he invented new journalism at Esquire in the 60s. He had a magazine in California and he had been fired. And I was working for this miserable little publisher. I hated him. So it was really great that I was making so much money because I could rub it into him. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, I liked it in Marvel Comics. There was humor there, and people were, you know, Herb and Linda. I would go spend a little time out of work, you know, outside of work with them. Not Stan. You know, Stan, you know, had a wife and kid. And
Did you ever hang out with Roy and Jeannie?
No, I never did. No.
No, just so
single. You know, we were young and single and, you know, hapless or something. I don't know, young mostly. I went to Herb's apartment. I forget why. And he had like model airplanes, you know, like a child. He was like a child. He was
well, that's what Herb loved to draw. He always loved to draw the airplanes, the World War II stuff, the Red Baron stuff, all that. Yeah, he was the Phantom Eagle, right?
I thought, is my life going to be with Herb Trimpe? But it wasn't, obviously.
Did you try? Did you try?
Whatsoever, you know.
Did you try? Did you try to get to Herb?
Try, you know. I went to his apartment, but I did nothing. You know, no, I was very.
Nothing happened with Trimp?
No, not a thing.
He didn't draw you a Hulk to try to sway you?
No. I think, you know, he ended up with Linda, which is wonderful. She was good. She was a nice person. And I still kind of communicate with her a little bit online.
Yeah.
You know.
Did you ever think that little time you worked with that and then that company would grow into what it is today? Like, I know you saw Stan
what, an Eat the World?
Yeah, like did you?
Yeah, no. I hope that Stan, you know, had his revenge or whatever. Do you know what I mean? The nerd's revenge. You know, so much of you know, superhero stuff is about someone overcoming their nerdness or something, or the odds against them, I suppose.
Robin, I do want to ask you, did you ever meet Martin Goodman?
No, I don't know who that is.
He was like the head publisher. He was like the
no.
You never met him, huh?
I don't remember any suits. I don't remember anybody in a suit. That was one of the things I liked about it when I went in. Nobody had a suit on.
Yeah.
You know, everybody, they weren't hip, but they were, you know, they looked like human beings at least. You know?
Now, do you remember seeing fans come in to visit?
They would come, you know, Linda would, you know, cut them off at the pass, you know, they'd get in. But I don't think they came back. I don't remember that at all.
Wow.
I'm sorry. You know, that's the trouble is that I don't even remember what I did for 9 months.
Yeah. But Robin, what's funny is so many people that eventually became big in the industry or big actors, they were coming at that time like to visit.
Really?
Yeah, and like you probably didn't even know, but like you were cutting off people that like eventually just
Oh,
wanted
you mean
to
the fans?
Yeah, there was so many. There's so many stories too of
Really?
people. So you probably
Well, they
don't
were.
even.
I will say that they were prescient, because this thing really took off. They really knew something
Wow.
that I completely, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead now.
Now, where you're at now for your fans that are, watching this live, watching this recorded, what are you doing now to keep yourself busy? Are you open to more projects? Do you have any current projects going on, or are you just relaxing and living?
We still get feelers. Are you available? Yes, we are, but nothing that we wanted to do. I wrote a book called The Only Girl about my time at Rolling Stone, and then I was asked to go to Spain on a book tour. They published it in Spanish 5 years later. I have no idea why, but it was this like mega book tour. It was fabulous because they didn't do a book tour here in the United States. They didn't really publicize it. It was very good. It did well in England. I translate better, I guess, overseas. I don't know. But so I went on a book tour with that book, and I would maybe write another book, but I wouldn't get a publisher first. I'll just do it. And I would do another TV show, but I don't know what's going on in TV right now. It's moved on, or it's this algorithm stuff, and it's you have to be like Shonda Rhimes or some really big player, I think, or Young and Hungry probably, But I'm not that anymore.
Did you see it? Have you seen a big change? Like you were just kind of talking about like the algorithm of the industry in television. Have you seen like a big change, like a worrying change in that industry?
I hear about it. I hear about the first of all, the pay really fell off, because those streamers and all of that, they don't pay the way network used to pay. So it's hard, I think, for people to make a living the way, But when I came in, people said, "Oh, you missed, you missed the gravy train." So people are always saying that. I'm sure, first of all, I would have done it for free.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm sure any of us would do what we do for free, but we don't tell anyone that. But you have to, in order to live like what you do. I think it's better than I would have done it for free. I loved writing for television, even though it was very stressful and whatnot. I never had more fun than on The Sopranos, and that was for a very long time.
Would you do a superhero movie or series if one came your way? Would you have any interest in doing a superhero series or movie?
No. And I don't go to those movies. I never, it's just not my thing. But it's many people's thing, and it's enough people's thing, that I don't have to go. But I told Roy that this is where I was going to come down. He knows me a little bit, and he knows that I'm not going to say that I'm a big fan, because it's not for me, it just isn't. I don't know. I'm having even trouble reading fiction right now, but I like some television that I watch. I love, Hacks. I loved Bad Sisters, and I love Slow Horses, and I still get on. I still, I'm very addictive about watching stuff. What do they call binging? Yeah.
Binging, yes.
Yeah. But I think I think that if someone had something they wanted to do, that you can still get it done. Do you know what I mean? Maybe the business has changed, but they're looking for people they want people to come in with a good idea. I swear to God, they might not always know what it is. Everybody turned The Sopranos down, but somebody didn't. Do you know what I mean? So I'm a big believer in quality will happen. I'm a big believer in that kind of success.
But do you think, like with technology and stuff, people are, you see a lot of even actors, they're taking off and they're making their own studios and stuff, because now the technology is so what you can do now without those big studio heads and all that stuff. You see a lot of independent stuff coming. That,
Good,
like, you know, yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, it
Yeah,
definitely.
and I think movies have gotten more interesting lately because I think they weren't for a while. For me, you know, I like the small. I haven't seen Tin Man yet, but everybody says, you know, it's like an old-fashioned kind of movie that doesn't have the huge pyrotechnics and whatnot. But this is totally in the face of what you guys love and are doing. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah, but it's funny, like even today, like with the Marvel stuff, it's not like it was even like 10 years ago. That's how, and it's funny when you were there,
what do you mean by that?
like just like the new series and all that stuff. It's so there's so many like political agendas kind of like shoved in there. It's some like they're not even they're it's not even like taking the liberty. It's like they take liberties with stuff. Like the stories aren't the same. See, the difference with the first 10 years is that they were actually using the source material and obviously changing it up for and it's funny, the time you were working there, they're using a lot of that stuff because it's that first Stan Lee years and like all the way to like the late 70s. It's all that time is the creme de la creme of the Marvel stuff. And then it kind of had changed because they made their money, and then all of a sudden they're going to be like, well, now we can just do it this way, and then we can do it this way. They're kind of getting so much further from the source material. And what's happening with everything there? It's going down, down, down.
Yeah, but no, be careful. You'll start to sound like a bitter old person. Oh, so much better in my day,
No, but see, the thing is, they say superhero fatigue, but that's not the case, because you know it as well as we do that any one of these characters, you write a good story between them, it can explode and make $1 billion. Look at this Deadpool Wolverine. They're kind of not going against the grain. You had Ryan Reynolds fighting for because he didn't want things to be changed. Hugh Jackman did that so they could keep this core movie. And they've already like broken records on pre-sales and all that stuff just because they're kind of staying true to the source material. That's the difference with this. They were going so far away from the source material, things started sinking. But now with this, hopefully Marvel and Disney will take a cue from that.
Yeah. How was Stan about it? Was he happy?
You know how good Stan was about it? Now there's going to be CGI Stan. He's going to be appearing all the time. I think, like that. But well, of course Stan loved the stuff. The last stuff that he said to Roy before he passed was he wished he could always still do the cameos. He still would have enjoyed to do it, but he just was. Stan loves to still get his little shine of light and all that stuff, but he just didn't have the strength.
He was not without ego.
Oh, of course.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. But you know what? To me, all I remember is a guy that was into what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I felt about him. That, his wife, and he had people looked down on comic books, and that wasn't publishing. It was like, it was a low kind of form of literature, comic books. You can't, but he loved it. He just loved it. And I just got it was a very positive vibe that he had. Wow. A man who was doing what he loved and on fire with it.
It's funny you say that, because it sort of validates something that Stan used to say a lot. And he wrote, he mentioned it all the time. And over the years, people would pour cold water on it and say that he was lying.
What did he say?
Well, he said basically that when he would go out to parties or gatherings in his ilk at the time, that, he didn't like to say that he worked in comics, So
right.
he went through this phase where, he would say, oh, I'm in publishing, or I'm a writer, but he would never say in comics.
Okay. And
so what he would do is he would explain, because he did a lot of writing and, forwards and, stuff like that in books. And he'd always say, for many years, I was hidden away. I was working in a little office. There was just me. And, so when you ask about how Stan felt, I think the validation that he must have got when huge, powerful people that he thought that he would never speak to, never meet, coming up to him and basically saying, wow, Stan, you have no idea how this affected me, and la, 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 and we want to go and do this and do that. So, you know, again, with what you're saying, it's very revealing, and it validates a lot of stuff, you know, and that's what this show is for. We love to get little snippets of information that that can validate things. So once at some point in the future, when someone says, well, he didn't, that didn't really happen, we can go, oh, well, really? Well, we do have an interview with someone, we didn't ask you, you just gave that information up yourself by saying that, obviously he started off thinking that he was in an embarrassing industry. He wouldn't even mention it. And then finally, he's doing all these cameos. Everyone knows Stan.
So glad to hear that.
And then all the jealousy began. So yeah, it's
I see.
And Robin, another thing I'd like to say, like, traveling around the world with Roy, you figure like they were just these little guys making these comic books, and they didn't think it was, it was like in its own realm. You wouldn't believe how many people, I mean, thousands, they'll come up to Roy, doctors, lawyers, and they tell him how he changed his life. This is the greatest part of my job, watching these fans, and you changed my life. I read this. I named my kid, like, oh my God, like just the adulation he gets.
But I think that Stan used that pain, that psychology of the, the nerd revenge or something, whatever it was. He used that psychology in his work. And so, but also it was human what he created. Spider-Man had, had faults. I forget what Stan said about it, but it was thoughtful, and had emotion. So there are those components that were his, that I think, isn't that how he changed comic books?
Yeah.
And he made the characters vulnerable.
Yeah.
And, neurotic or something.
Yeah. He made them relatable to the average reader.
Yeah. But I think that, So.
But I'm just saying, it's so funny that you see it now, because like I love that Roy in his twilight years, he gets to see the adulation, and he's still, that guy is still 100 miles per hour. He's
what?
He's still 100 miles per hour. He had
a lot of energy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I mean, it's funny how really impactful these stories impacted look, we're still talking about them. You got people wanting to kill other people over them because they think they're right and they're wrong. That's how they're so passionate for these comic books, these creators. I mean, they really did something. And when you were there, it was kind of like this small little bubble group, but they were changing the world. They were literally changing the world.
What I walked into, and I think what I liked and responded to, was that it was a creative shop, but there was no question that the man whose office was across from mine was the creator. Everyone worked for him.
Yeah.
And I don't know what his relationship with Jack Kirby was, but Stan was the boss. Well, Stan was the boss,
Did his energy inspire you at all? Like when did you take anything from your 9 months there?
Other than take off.
Well, yeah, right.
You know what? No. Did I take anything from Rolling Stone or Sopranos, or I don't know what that means.
Like,
exactly.
was there anything that stand out? Like when the people you're working with, like you're working in this creative factory, and you yourself are creative. You're a writer, stories and things. Was there anything you saw, like a passion that kind of helped keep your passions?
No, I was my own egomaniac.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Maybe you took that from Stan.
Maybe. Yeah, no, I just no. Not that.
Wow. It's so interesting.
But I do think that the humanity that was in that office is something that I valued, and that I took that with me. A way to. It was a grounded kind of place. So that kind of thing, maybe. but not the ethos, because I don't even know if I read the comic books.
Yeah.
You know, really. I'm vaguely aware of, Spider-Man. I can't remember really, but I can't remember much anymore.
You really are a hippie, Robin. You really are a hippie.
I really am, but it's not drugs or anything. I swear.
Oh wow. Okay.
I was pretty square. I was pretty square too, but not quite as square as.
Okay, so we're going to wind down here. Steve, any last words from Mrs. Green?
It's an hour. That's all I have.
That's what
we got you on the dot. We're on the dot.
That's what we've got.
That's all I have in my body to. It's like.
Yes.
You did wonderful, Robin. You did wonderful.
I hope so. I hope, I don't want to distress people with this old crone coming on, talking about something that happened 50 years ago. But I hope that it's been of value.
It's been fantastic.
Today. We need this.
Fantastic.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Steve.
no. We really do appreciate it because we love first-hand accounts.
Okay.
Second-hand accounts, okay, that's fine. But first-hand accounts are very precious, and the period of time that especially me and John love. The people who are there are now, very few. The original people who are there, they're gone. So whenever we can get a little nugget of information, and speak with someone that has a first-hand account, very precious. And that's why we really appreciate you coming on the show because
thank you very much. And I have John's contact now, and if I can remember anything that might be of value, I swear I will type it. I'll send you an email if I have.
And we'll post it.
Well, it'll be for you guys, but I've really enjoyed talking to you. You said I would, and I have. So thank you.
Of course. Niall, any last words from Mr.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Robin. I really appreciate you coming on. As a creator myself and knowing hundreds of other creators, it's good to hear, it's not just all about comics. It's good to hear the journey to success. And like you said, it's raw. You don't recommend it and like a lot of us, we work day jobs, multiple jobs, but we work those nights on what we're trying to make happen. And it's inspirational. It's good to listen to the whole journry. And I appreciate you sharing it. And I appreciate you being real and humble of like, this isn't for the
recommend it. It's so hard.
Man, thank you so much. It was really nice chatting with you.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this.
Yeah, thank you, Robin. It's been a pleasure and an honor, and we love you.
Now what do I do?
Now
we say goodbye.
Go ahead, Steve.
Now I don't want to go. We're having so much fun.
Whoa.
Bye.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us on Pop XP. If you haven't already, make sure to click that subscribe button and also click the bell for notifications when we go live and we upload some awesome new content. Also, don't forget to head on over to Twitter and follow us at the Pop XP and over on Instagram at the Pop XP. Thanks again everyone, and we'll see you soon.